First, about the cup final timing, what are your thoughts on that?
It's not ideal. It's not ideal. I don't think we should ever move our showpiece final to suit anybody, but it can, as I say, I can only imagine it's for TV rights or something, and we don't want to clash. It's no ideal for me, but it is what it is, and I'm just glad we're there. But I would rather let everybody else 3 o'clock on a Saturday should be a showpiece final, but it's not to be.
How big an inconvenience do you think it will be for the Inverness fans?
Huge. I mean, if it's early, then you know they probably have to go down the night before or struggle to get up in the morning or get there and up and down in the one day. If it's later, they can't get home. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. That's the kind of way I feel for them. And it's the ones who are travelling the furthest. Celtic fans will be coming over for Ireland. We're coming down from Inverness. It's a shame on them, it really is, because they've got a long way to travel, and then they're getting moved about with the kick-off, and some simply just won't be able to get there, and it'll give others an opportunity.
Moving on to tomorrow night's game, it's really the cup final before the cup final, isn't it?
Let me enjoy my cup final. Yeah, but you're right, Charlie. It's a huge game. Although we won the game and it was great, and we had a little celebration the way up the road, it was like tuned in the next day. It was like, right, let's move on now. We've got a massive game on Friday night, so it's just focus, and I've been doing that a lot recently because we've had that many games, and then obviously when we reach the final, so that's one objective done, and now we have to try and get to the playoffs, which would be an incredible achievement, as I said last week.
If you do make the playoffs, it reminds me a bit of a bookies accumulator. If you win all 3, great, but if you don't, you might as well not have embarked upon the exercise, if you see what I mean, because it would be a concentration of 6 games, up to 6 games wasted.
The workload is horrendous, but I would rather have a go at it. That's my kind of feeling on it, and I'd rather I finish second, or rather I win the championship. All those things come into your mind, but if we finish 4th or 3rd, at least we're there to have a go. That's my kind of mindset.
It's a bit of a potential feast and famine as well, because if you make the playoffs, you've got a very busy time, but if you don't, you've got 4 weeks without a game before the cup final. That's
that planning again. I told you, nobody's taking into account that a championship team might reach the cup final. That's the problem. They're going to have to think better. I think the people in charge are going to have to think better about every possibility, and I know it's difficult for them, but come up with something better than what they've got just now, because you're right, we could have a month layoff before we play the cup final. We also could have a clash with the playoff final if we reach that, so nothing's been taken into account. But I'll take it again, and I hopefully they do have to move the season, because they can't play on the Sunday after the Saturday, especially when it's been moved back to 5:30. So I'll still have a go at it, I would still accept it, but it doesn't make it right.
That's grand, thank you very much.
Cheers, Charlie.
Nice to be back.
And the potential playoffs, how vital is these last few games in terms of the history of the club?
It's just good to be involved in them, Liam. That's where we are. It's brilliant we've reached the cup final. There was a big pressure on, because I talked to you last week about how good an opportunity it was. Now the pressure is on us to reach the playoffs, because from where we've come from, it's for me, it's like sort of winning the league. I've got to put it out there. I've got to be honest, because we had no divine right with the team, some of the teams we had to field, and that's no disrespect to the young boys who came in. We were fielding teams hopeful of getting a few points on the board. So from where we've come from, probably looking over our shoulder at a wee bit of maybe a relegation battle, to charge at the last hurdle and come up with giving ourselves this chance of beating Ayr to get in the playoffs, would be amazing. It really would, for this group of boys.
Kind of fairy tale ending almost, that kind of...
Yeah, we said that last week. It's all the kind descriptions you can put to it. It doesn't take away whether you call it a fairy tale ending and a brilliant achievement. It's incredible what they've done this season, and as a championship club reaching the Scottish Cup final and having a chance to make the playoffs, and I hope we complete the job, because I can't bow down to this group of players enough. I know we throw it all out there, they're a great bunch. They really are special. It's got that feeling of the group, as I said to you last week, it's got that feeling of the group that Gordon Chisholm and I had at Queen of the South, where they were just a group of players who were good players but realised that they were a bit special, and a couple of them went on to bigger and better things, but got that feeling about them where there was a real togetherness, and this group's got the same.
Just, you mentioned Ayr there, I mean, I think in the league, obviously quite a decent record against them this year. What are you expecting from them Friday?
Good team, well organised, hard to beat. We've got to be careful, we've got some good players, probably one of the top strikers in the league this season with Akinyemi, got to handle him, but I think it's more about as a team for Ayr as well, a little bit like us, where they have good balance of their squad, where they've got a bit of experience and a bit of youth, and sometimes they can play with wingers, sometimes they can play with the man off the front, and there'll be a test for us. We're going to have to be at our best to beat them.
Thanks for that.
Cheers.
Check on team news, Billy. Is everyone still kind of magically fit for these big games?
Shot corner again. Now I've got, honestly, everybody, we've got Lewis Nicholson was cup tied last week, and obviously Carson was suspended. Those two are back in the squad as well, so I have got everybody to choose from apart from my two long-termers, and again in Shane and Tom.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Cheers, Alistair.
Just kind of following up on that, Billy, it was quite nice, even though they didn't get on the pitch, to see Max and Roddy back on the squad last weekend. How ready are they to play a part in these last few weeks, given they've been away for so long?
Well, they've got another week's training under their belt, which will help, so they're closer this week than they probably were last week. Still no ideal, they could still do with a bit of game time, but I've said to you all along, when I had my injuries, it's no reserve football up here, and it's hard to get them game time. You have to organise bounce games, but Roddy's a fit lad anyway, so is Max, and if called upon they'll be there, and they're a week, they've got a week's more training in them, which is going to stand them in good stead, so getting closer, yeah.